All right, good evening. My name is Mike Fox, and I have the honor of being the chairman of the North Carolina Board of Transportation. And we have several of our board members here with us tonight. They're arrayed here to your right, to my left. And the reason that they are doing that is because we're going to have a brief business meeting that will last about 5 minutes, but you'll certainly understand the importance of why we're doing that in just a minute. The first thing I'd like to do is thank our hosts tonight, the museum, the city of Fayetteville, and our host today, Fort Bragg. We had a fabulous time. We were able to tour a lot of the base, see a lot of the operations, a lot of the infrastructure, discuss some of the needs that they have and how we might support them. And we also saw a number of the DOT infrastructure projects in the area, including 295. We got a little ride on the unopened portion of it, which was impressive. So we've had a great day, and we really appreciate everyone coming out tonight, because this is really the heart of why we like to travel around the state as a board. It's to meet people in the various local areas, develop relationships, understand what your infrastructure and transportation needs are, and how we may be able to partner with you to solve those. So thank you for coming out tonight, and I hope you're having great conversation. Just so that the folks know who's here from NCDOT, you have the majority of our board. I believe there are 16 of our 19 board members are here, so I would encourage you to introduce yourself and talk to all of them. But we also have a number of our senior staff. We have almost all of our division engineers with us, and those folks are the folks like Greg Burns, which I know most of you may know Greg because he's your local division engineer. But we have the Greg Burns from all around the state. While I'm talking about Greg, I want to single him out along with board member Grady Hunt, who's the division board member from this area, for really coordinating this visit and making sure that we saw a lot of informative things today. So thanks, Greg and Grady. We also have a number of our other senior staff, deputy secretaries and department heads, so please introduce yourself and have good conversations with them. We have a few special guests tonight, which we'll introduce later, and they'll have an opportunity to speak. Major General Diedrich is here, Colonel Reed, and Mayor Coleman of the city of Fayetteville, and City Manager Doug Hewitt. So thank you all for being here and being a part of our evening tonight. So with that welcome, I'd like to call our board meeting to order briefly. This is the May 1st, 2019 meeting of the Board of Transportation. We do have a quorum, and our secretary can record the board members who are here. I do need to read the standard ethics statement. I'm sure for those of you who are on city council, you're used to this type of thing, but we need to do that. In accordance with State Government Ethics Act Executive Order Number 2, issued on January 12, 2009, and NCGS Section 143B-350, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. To comply with this statement and the state ethics law, I ask whether any board member has any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the board today. If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict when the item appears on the agenda for consideration, refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved, and sign before our notary the declaration that's been provided to you for such purpose. Does anyone have a conflict with our road naming that we're doing tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Our only item of business that we're going to address tonight is a road naming, and we're going to consider naming a portion of I-295 for the Airborne and Special Operations Highway designation, overlay, and extension. And to consider that, I'd like to invite board member Grady Hunt forward to handle a resolution.
Thank you, Chairman. If I may, I would ask that my fellow veteran board members join me as we do this. Hugh, Pat, Andy, Coley, thank you, fellas. Whereas pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 136-18, parentheses 8, the North Carolina Board of Transportation may name or rename any road of the state's system of highways. Whereas pursuant to the North Carolina Department of Transportation honorary naming and designation of state transportation assets, employee memorial program policy adopted in February 2019, an overlay designation shall indicate that a portion of a highway can be given another honorary designation in conjunction with the first due to the length of the original honorary designation being longer than 5 miles. And whereas the Board of Transportation's resolution indicated that the Airborne and Special Operations Highway designation from July 10th, 2014 was to be a vital interstate connection from I-95 to US 401, Rayford Road, for the total distance of 24.75 miles. And whereas the Fayetteville City Council and Fort Bragg Garrison Command supported the Airborne and Special Operations designation for the entire length of I-295 as per the original Board of Transportation resolution. Now therefore be it resolved that the North Carolina Board of Transportation designates the Airborne and Special Operations Highway as an overlay designation for the entire portion of I-295 in both present state and future extensions from I-95 to I-95. That appropriate signs will be erected at a suitable time. Adopted this the first day of May 2019 by the North Carolina Board of Transportation, Chairman Michael Fox, Secretary Jim Trogdon.
Take that as a motion by Grady. Is there a second? Second. All right, second by General Overholt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Congratulations. If I could get Greg to come up, and the mayor, and Major General Dietrich, and Colonel Reed, would you assist us in unveiling the sign? We'll count to 3, and then it usually works better to come over to the back. You got that already. Stay for a picture for a second. Yeah. You want to jump on the other side? I have one other item of business. We need a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. Motion by Gus, second by Alan. All in favor? Aye. All right, the meeting's adjourned, so we don't need to record anything else. Now we can go back to other things. I'd like to, at this point, ask Pat Malamphy to come up, and Pat's going to introduce Major General Dietrich.
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure today to introduce Major General John Dietrich, Jr., Commander of the 1st Special Forces Command at Fort Bragg. General Dietrich was commissioned Army in 1988 as an infantry officer. Early in his career, he deployed in support of Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. As both a Joint Special Operations Task Force and Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force Commander, General Diedrich deployed several times throughout Southeast Asia in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and to the Philippines. He has commanded the 10th Special Forces Group at Fort Carson, Colorado, and Special Operations Command Korea. General Diedrich has served in a range of special operations-oriented staff assignments and is a graduate of the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College and the Air War College. Most importantly, General Diedrich is a graduate of the Citadel, and I'm proud to call him my classmate. General Diedrich.
I knew Pat was desperate when he reached out to me, but Mayor Coleman and Chairman Fox and all the friends and family here, I'm really actually thrilled and honored to be here. And I'll tell you why I'm so honored and privileged as I go through this, but one thing that we are working really hard on within the Army and within Special Operations is recruiting. We are putting a lot of energy into recruiting. So I just want to thank the board for giving me a 25-mile-long recruiting poster to help bring in soldiers as we're trying to bring them into this Army. So thank you for not only the great work in the infrastructure, but also to help us with our recruiting battle. That is truly, truly appreciated. You know, served around the world, as Pat ran through some of it, and most of us that wear this uniform here have. But the bond between the community of Fayetteville and Fort Bragg, North Carolina is intrinsic. If you serve in an airborne unit or you serve in a special operations unit, you will call Fayetteville home. You will go to school here. This is where your children will be raised. And the bond and the closeness of that community is why so many of our soldiers and their families choose to put their roots down here. And that is truly and greatly appreciated. This is where we live. It's not just where we work. And it's very often where we live on the long term, So it is greatly appreciated to be here. I thank the board for doing this. I thank the city of Fayetteville for their support. And I understand y'all are about to go to a Woodpeckers game.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was there Monday night, and I'm going to tell you that's another tribute. That is one very nice stadium. And once again, having 295 that will now help bring people from 95 easier into Fayetteville and to all the attractions and the growth of this community is fantastic. So thank you for all your support to our military soldiers and our families and all those that are deployed. We spend a lot of time away from home. In my commands today, just to be exact, I got people in 86 different countries today. And so when they are home, the fact that now they will be able to get home in 5 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes is greatly appreciated. Because you know, that's the difference between seeing the end of your kid's soccer game or actually being there when it starts. And for that, we are extremely grateful, and thank you. And thank you to the board, thank you to the mayor, and thank you all. We really appreciate all the support.
I know everyone noticed I'm not quite as tall as the general, so I'm going to adjust the mic back down here a bit. I'd like to give Colonel Reed a thank you for the great tour you gave us today, and if you wanted the opportunity to say anything, I'd like to give you that.
See, I don't even have to adjust it. It's perfect.
All us App State grads come the same size.
See, I was just about to kind of talk about that a little bit. You know, I've been here for 13 years assigned here at this installation. And when you look at the history, when you look at the hometown spirit, when you look at the connectiveness with the community itself, it was really, really humbling to stand in the room with you today and talk about my upbringing, talk about my interaction with you, seeing that there's a member here that graduated from the same high school as I did, right there. And many of you graduated from App State. That's the ability and that's the connectiveness of your military to the community. As you saw today on this installation, and I welcome you back again the 23rd, 24th of May for that opportunity to see All-American Week and see what your military does. This interaction, recruiting tool, actually significance of the military service and what it provides our nation is truly what this is about. And we can't thank you enough for at least considering this and then actually putting it into place for not only the military, but the surrounding community. We call this the city, this is a nickname for the city, is the All-American City, and it supports the All-Americans that serve at that installation. So thank you very much for your time, your commitment, your emphasis on making this happen. Thank you.
And the mayor gets the cleanup spot since we're in his hometown here. I want to briefly introduce Mayor Coleman. I'm sure most of you know him, but many of our board members and staff may not. He's a native of Fayetteville with a passion for helping to improve the city. He was elected mayor in November of 2017. Prior to that, he served 2 consecutive terms on city council as a council member for District 3 from 2013 to 2015 and from 2015 to 2017. Mayor Colvin is committed to unity in the community by working with other local government organizations on partnerships and projects to improve Fayetteville and Cumberland County. The mayor has also been a strong supporter of our military and Fort Bragg. And so with that, I'd like to ask our mayor to come up and give us a few remarks.
Well, good evening. Thank you, DOT, for choosing Fayetteville as your host this evening. Before I get started, I'd like to introduce the other members of my team. I have joining us this evening Councilmember Kathy Jensen, Councilmember Dan Cullerton, I saw him, Councilmember Tisha Waddell, Councilmember Johnny Dawkins, Councilmember Larry Wright, Councilmember Jim Art. I think we've covered them all. Can we give them a round of applause? A great leadership team. And certainly we couldn't take credit for the things that we do without a great city staff, and we have our city manager and several of his staff members, as well as our city attorney, city manager Doug Hewitt, and city attorney Karen McDonald, and the other members of the Fayetteville City staff that work so hard to bring things together for us. With the city council, I practice, and our team as a team, we practice the 3 C's, and that is connectivity, it's collaboration, and communication. And with DOT, we partner with you and the great investments that you make in our community to make sure that we're connected and there's connectivity to move our citizens around. Collaboration comes into play with partners like Fort Bragg and the General, Colonel Reed, they're always there, but there are partners and other institution agencies here in the city that we collaborate to make the city a better place for everyone. And finally, we're now starting to communicate our message that we have a great city, a great community that others can share in, and we're defining who it is that we are and not letting others define who we are. But we would just like to highlight a few of the things and thank the North Carolina DOT Board of Directors for your assistance with the Multimodal Transit Center, which opened in 2017, a completed citywide comprehensive pedestrian plan with 50% of the funding from NCDOT, with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Division, and it was completed in 2018. And currently, the city is working to implement the recommendations that were recommended from those plans. Ongoing, a citywide bike comprehensive plan with 50% of the funding from NCDOT through the Bicycle and Pedestrian Division, scheduled to be completed by the end of this year. And the plan will guide the city as we continue to develop a biking network. The Louise Street Bridge was an area that was impacted by natural disaster, and those residents were forced to leave from one means of egress, and Councilmember Larry Wright, who represents that district, on behalf of him and the citizens that we represent in District 7, thank you for your participation in the Louise Street Bridge replacement, where you're currently working to incentivize contractors to expedite the work and to get that neighborhood back on its feet. The Rowland Street Bridge replacement project, the city is in partnership with NCDOT to include the enhancements to the bridge and other design elements that will complement all of the exciting changes we have occurring in our downtown area that helps us move citizens around. And Clark West Road project, NCDOT's economic development project to construct transportation improvements for better connectivity for Campbell Soup, a new entity that is calling Fayetteville home, that is located in the industrial park off of Cedar Creek Road. And so we continue to look forward to the many projects that we have, including the Murchison Road Transportation Improvement Plan that is scheduled through the TIP project through FAMPO. And we hope to, and this has become recently a Fayetteville City Council target for action. And it's an area that I call home that's very important to us and me and the residents of that area. So on behalf of the 210,000 citizens that we jointly represent, we thank you and we welcome you to our city. God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor. And this concludes our presentation. You can continue to enjoy the reception. For those DOT board and staff members who are going to the ball game, we just need to meet near the door at 7. So until then, feel free to mingle and enjoy the rest of the reception. And thank you all again.